Ever come across the term SaaS, maybe browsing business stuff online or just in a meeting and thought, what is that in plain English?
Yeah, it gets thrown around a lot.
Yeah. So that's what we're going to unpack today, right here on the Deep Dive, where we break down those complex topics. And today, we're diving deep into SaaS sales. We found this really insightful article. It's called What is SaaS Sales? Everything you need to know in 2025.
A really comprehensive piece really gets into the nuts and bolts of selling software as a service.
Exactly.
And that's what we're aiming for here, giving you the core knowledge, no jargon. So consider this like a crash course in SaaS sales. We'll start with the basics, what it is, then move into the strategies, the metrics, all the important stuff you need to know.
Perfect. So we're going to be looking at what SaaS is, how a SaaS sale actually works, all the different steps, the different models companies use to sell it, how you build a winning SaaS sales team. And of course, we can't forget the metrics, the numbers everyone in SaaS needs to be watching.
All that good stuff.
So let's start with the basics. What exactly is SaaS?
Okay, so SaaS, as you probably know, stands for Software as a Service. In simple terms, it's software that's accessed online, through your browser, maybe an app.
Right.
In businesses, they use these SaaS solutions to solve specific problems, address certain needs they have. But what's interesting here, it's not just about the software itself. A company that offers SaaS, usually they have a customer success team. They're there to help users make sure they're getting the most out of the software. And then, of course, you have the product engineers, the folks behind the scenes, who are constantly working to maintain and improve the software.
So it's not like the old days when you buy software once, you get a disc, that's it. It's
Exactly.
ongoing, it's a
A
relationship.
continuous relationship.
And the article really stressed that it's usually subscription-based.
Right.
How does that subscription model impact the sales side of things?
It's a fundamental difference. So instead of, purchasing a license up front, customers, they pay a recurring fee, often monthly or annually, to use the software. So connecting this back to the sales team, their job goes beyond just getting new customers.
Right.
They need to focus on upselling, encouraging users to go for those advanced features or maybe a higher tier plan. And crucially, they got to make sure customers stick around, long term. Because that consistent revenue stream, that's what drives the SaaS business.
Yeah. I mean, churn is a big deal in SaaS.
It's a huge deal. Not just lost revenue, but it's a signal, If customers are leaving, it means the service isn't delivering what they need. So SaaS sales, it's not just about that initial sale. It's about building a partnership, a long-term relationship with the customer.
Absolutely. So how does selling SaaS, in a practical sense, how is it different from selling, say, physical products or even the old school licensed software?
Yeah, good question. The article really emphasized that difference. Selling SaaS, it's often a more complex process because you're not just delivering a tangible item, something you can hold in your hand. The software, it's constantly evolving, being updated, supported. So the sales team, they really need to cultivate these strong, ongoing relationships with their customers. It's not just about making the initial sale.
Right.
These relationships, they're crucial for future upsells, for renewals, and also just for getting a sense of how the customer's needs are changing so the product can adapt. Another thing the article pointed out, the SaaS sales cycle, it often tends to be longer. Think about it. Some of these software solutions, they can be a significant investment for a business.
Yeah.
And often it's not just one person making the decision. You have multiple departments, stakeholders, all weighing in.
More people, more time to make the decision.
Exactly.
Now, the article also mentioned the different roles you typically find on a SaaS sales team. Can you break that down for us?
Absolutely. A very common structure you'll see involves sales development reps. Those are the SDRs. They're typically focused on outbound, so identifying and contacting potential customers and figuring out if those leads are a good fit for the software. Then you have the business development managers, the BDMs. They usually take over once an SDR has qualified a lead. They'll conduct those in-depth product demos, and ultimately, they're the ones working to close the sale. You also often have market development representatives, MDRs. They handle leads that come in through marketing activities.
So each role has its own specific focus.
Yes, a specialized division of labor.
And it sounds like everyone on the team needs to have a really good grasp of the product itself.
Absolutely. The article stressed that. Sales reps, they need to be able to articulate the benefits, the features, in a way that resonates with the potential customer's needs.
Make it relevant for them.
Exactly. They need to know how the software works inside and out so they can demonstrate it effectively and even handle those basic troubleshooting questions that might come up during a demo. Ultimately, the goal of the entire SaaS sales team, as the article points out, is to move those qualified leads through the sales pipeline and ultimately generate new revenue for the company.
Okay, we've got a good foundation now. We know what sauce is, what makes it unique.
Right.
Let's get into the actual steps involved in making a sale. The article laid out a 5-step process for sauce sales. What are those key stages?
Okay, so the 5 key steps are
Yeah.
lead generation, outbound prospecting, sales qualification, sales demos, and finally, closing.
A nice, clear progression.
Right. So lead generation, that's all about sparking that initial interest in your SaaS offering.
Getting people's attention.
Exactly. Then you have outbound prospecting. That's actively reaching out to potential customers through various channels like direct phone calls, email campaigns, even engaging on social media.
A lot of different ways to connect.
Right. Then comes sales qualification. That's critical. This is where you figure out if a prospect actually aligns with your ideal customer profile. Do they have the characteristics, the needs that make them a good fit for your solution? After that, it's time for the sales demo. This is where you showcase the software, show them how it works, how it can solve their problems, provide value. And finally, the last step, closing. This is where you negotiate the terms and hopefully finalize the sale.
So that 5-step process, that's the big picture.
Yes, the overall framework.
But the article also mentioned 3 core activities that SaaS sales teams are typically doing. Can you tell us about those?
Absolutely. Those 3 activities are cold calling, outbound email, and social selling. Cold calling, as you might guess, it involves reaching out to potential customers by phone. These are often leads who haven't interacted with the company before.
Cold, hence the name.
Exactly. The goal is to qualify them, see if they're a good fit, and hopefully schedule a meeting or a demo. Then you have outbound email. This involves creating personalized email campaigns, often using special software tools to manage this at scale.
So those targeted email blasts.
Exactly. And finally, social selling. This is all about engaging with potential customers on social media. Platforms like LinkedIn, Twitter, all that.
LinkedIn being especially important for B2B, right?
Absolutely. A key channel for B2B SaaS.
Okay, so we've got a good sense of what SaaS sales folks are actually doing day to day. Now, let's talk about the sales cycle.
Okay.
I know from the article that SaaS sales cycles, they tend to be longer compared to other types of sales. What are some of the things that influence how long it takes to close a deal?
Right, you're right. The length of the sales cycle can vary quite a bit. One of the biggest factors, as the article pointed out, is the price of your software. Higher priced solutions, they usually involve more layers of approval within a company.
More people need to sign off on it.
Exactly. So that naturally stretches out the process. On average, the article mentioned a sales cycle of around 84 days.
84 days, that's almost 3 months.
Right. And it's important to understand that average when you're doing projections, calculating your annual contract value, or ACV.
ACV, that's a key metric.
Absolutely. But other factors can influence the cycle length, too. Things like one-time fees, like implementation costs, training costs, the potential for future upsells, cross-selling other products or services, your churn rate, how many customers you're losing, and of course, the total and average ACV of your contracts. That all plays a role.
So 84 days, that's a pretty long time for a sales cycle. Especially for a smaller company just starting out, that could put a real strain on cash flow. Did the article have any suggestions for how companies might be able to shorten that cycle?
Yeah, they had some good tips. One suggestion was to offer a shorter free trial. Instead of the standard 30 days, maybe try 2 weeks. The idea is to speed up the evaluation process. Another suggestion was to involve a lead generation specialist in refining your sales content. Make sure it's really grabbing attention, engaging prospects quickly. They also talked about the importance of content marketing, even before sales gets involved. If your marketing team is putting out valuable educational content, it can warm up those leads, help them understand the value proposition faster.
So they're already informed by the time a salesperson reaches out?
Exactly. But the article also had a really practical piece of advice, which is if you can't shorten your sales cycle, then you have to factor that longer time frame into your financial planning, your budgeting. You got to be prepared for it.
That makes sense. Okay, so a company understands its sales process, the sales cycle. Now it's time to figure out how they're actually going to sell their SaaS. The article talked about the importance of choosing the right sales model.
Right, that's a crucial decision. Because the sales model you choose, it shapes everything. How you structure your team, how customers move through your sales funnel, even the overall trajectory of your company. The article laid out 3 main models: the self-service model, the transactional sales model, and the enterprise sales model.
Three very distinct approaches.
Yeah. The self-service model, that's typically best for simpler SaaS products, things that are easy to understand, easy to use. They're often targeting smaller teams, individual users, and they're usually priced at a lower tier.
Hmm.
This model really relies on the product being intuitive so people can just sign up and start using it. And of course, strong B2B marketing to drive those signups.
Yeah.
You don't need a huge sales team for this model.
Right. It's more about automation and marketing. What about the second model, the transactional sales model?
Yeah, so the article pointed out that this is probably the most common model, and it's very scalable.
It works for a lot of different businesses.
Exactly. Usually have a larger sales team, and they're doing more personalized outreach, targeting small and medium-sized businesses. They often use tiered pricing, so different packages for different needs and budgets. But for this model to be successful, you really need alignment between sales and marketing. You need a consistent flow of qualified leads.
Makes sense.
Sales training is crucial, making sure your reps know the product, know how to sell it, and strategic use of discounts can be really effective in closing deals.
So more human interaction in this model. What about the enterprise sales model?
That's the third model. This one is the most resource intensive. You need a lot of dedicated sales support, a lot of customization.
So for the bigger deals?
Yeah, you're usually dealing with large organizations, big companies with lots of stakeholders, complex decision-making processes. So the sales funnel's much longer, more involved, but the potential revenue from these deals can be huge.
High risk, high reward.
Exactly. To make this model work, you need really tight collaboration between different departments, marketing, sales, accounting, engineering. Everyone needs to be on the same page. The article even suggested having a dedicated revenue operations team, a RevOps team.
RevOps, I've heard that term before.
Yeah, it's becoming more and more common. They're basically the glue that holds all the revenue-generating teams together, marketing, sales, customer success, that makes sure everyone's aligned, working towards the same goals.
So those are the three main sales models. But it's not just about picking a model, right? A company also needs to define its overall sales strategy.
Absolutely. Your sales strategy, it's the plan. It lays out the techniques and approaches you're going to use to close deals and upsell to your existing customers. And as the article emphasized, there's no one-size-fits-all strategy. It has to be tailored to your specific business goals, your stage of growth, your target market. But a good revenue-generating strategy, it usually focuses on three key things: B2B lead generation, B2B prospecting, and closing deals.
So you need to attract the right leads, you need to reach out to them effectively, and then you need to be able to seal the deal.
Exactly. Without leads, you can't make sales. And if you can't close those deals, you're not generating revenue.
It's a chain reaction. Now let's talk about the people who are actually doing the selling, building a SaaS sales team. The article mentioned that SaaS teams are growing really fast.
Yeah, they cited a report by Tomas Tungus, I think it was. The fastest growing SaaS companies, they're seeing an average annual team growth of about 56%. That's huge. Shows you how dynamic this industry is.
Definitely booming. So if you're building a sales team, what are some of the key things to keep in mind when you're hiring?
The article highlighted a few things. Experience selling software to businesses, that's obviously important. Cultural fit, making sure they're going to mesh well with your team, your company culture, and being really clear about expectations from the start. What does success look like in this role?
Set those expectations up front. Now, for anyone listening who might be thinking about a career in SaaS sales, what are some of the positives the article mentioned?
Yeah, they painted a pretty positive picture. They gave three main reasons why SaaS sales can be a great career move. First, the market itself is projected to grow a lot. They mentioned a report by Valuits, I think it was, that predicted the SaaS market will double in size by 2026. It'll be worth something like $307.3 billion.
That's a huge market.
Yeah, massive. Second, a career in SaaS sales, it uses a wide range of skills, and it can open doors to other roles in a tech company.
So lots of potential for growth.
Exactly. And third, it's a really dynamic industry, constantly changing, so there are tons of opportunities to learn new things, network with people.
So how does someone actually break into SaaS sales?
A couple of paths, according to the article. Prior experience in sales, that definitely helps. But even if you don't have direct sales experience, entry-level positions, especially at startups, those are a good way in. Startups are often looking for people who are eager to learn, passionate about tech, and it's good to know that there are more and more opportunities for women in tech sales now. Even doing some online courses, getting some certifications that can show you're serious, that you're ready to learn.
To take initiative, show them you're motivated.
Exactly. Oh, and one practical tip from the article: when you're networking, Make sure your email signature has a clear call to action, like connect with me on LinkedIn.
Good tip. Now, the article also went through the typical SaaS sales roles based on experience level. Can you walk us through those?
Yeah, sure. At the entry level, you have the sales development representative, the SDR, usually 0 to 2 years of experience. The focus here is on developing those core communication skills, learning the product, the sales process. Then as you gain more experience, maybe 2 to 5 years, you might move into an account executive role or an account manager role. Now you have more ownership of sales opportunities. You need to be good with CRM systems, managing your pipeline, strong analytical skills, communication skills, maybe even some informal leadership within the team. Then for the more senior roles, like sales manager or VP of sales, you're usually looking at 5 to 7 years of experience. You need deep product knowledge. You need to be a good consultative seller, comfortable working with executives.
So you're really an expert at that point.
Yeah, you've got a proven track record.
Yeah.
You also need strong analytical skills, problem-solving skills, and leadership qualities.
So a lot of responsibility in those senior roles. Now let's talk about compensation. The article mentioned that SaaS sales often involves a commission structure. How does that typically work?
Yeah, that's right. In addition to their base salary, SaaS sales professionals, they usually earn a percentage of the deals they close, the accounts they renew.
So their income is tied directly to their performance.
Exactly. Incentivizes them to sell. The article mentioned a couple of common commission structures. There's the accelerator model, where the commission rate increases as you get closer to or exceed your sales target. And then there's the tiered commission model, where you have to hit certain milestones to unlock higher commission percentages. The exact structure will vary from company to company, but that combination of base salary plus commission, that's pretty standard in SaaS sales. They even gave some average base salaries based on data from Glassdoor. Junior SDRs, they're starting around $48,000, and then senior level positions can go up to between $93,000 and $114,000.
So the earning potential is there if you're good at it.
Definitely.
Okay, so you've got your sales team in place. How do you know if they're doing well? The article talked about the importance of tracking key performance indicators, KPIs.
Yeah, those metrics are super important, especially in SaaS, where it's all about that recurring revenue, that monthly subscription income. For sales development representatives, the key productivity metrics, those are things like how many emails are they sending, how many calls are they making, how active are they on LinkedIn. Then you have the success metrics. How many meetings are they booking? How many sales qualified opportunities or ZQs are they generating?
Squeos, so those are leads that are really ready to buy.
Right. Those are the ones that meet the BANT criteria.
BANT, what does that stand for?
So BANT, that's budget, authority, need, and timing. So the prospect needs to have the budget to buy your software. They need to have the authority to make the decision. They need to have a genuine need for your solution, and their timing has to be right. They need to be ready to buy now.
So it's about focusing on the most promising leads. What about the BDMs? What are their key metrics?
For BDMs, you're looking at things like their average deal size. How much revenue are they bringing in per deal? Their conversion rate. How many demos are they turning into closed deals? And then the metrics around monthly recurring revenue, MRR, those are crucial. How much MRR have they booked this month? What's their target? What percentage of that target have they achieved? They'll also be tracking things like how many demos they've booked versus how many actually happen.
There's a lot of different numbers to keep track of.
Yeah, data is king in SaaS sales.
Now, the article also talked about pipeline metrics and the importance of comparing inbound versus outbound performance. Can you explain what those are?
Sure. So pipeline metrics, that's basically tracking your opportunities as they move through your sales pipeline, from the initial contact to the demo to the contract negotiation, and then finally to a close, whether it's a win or a loss. You want to know how many opportunities are in each stage of that pipeline.
So you can see where things are getting stuck.
Exactly. And then comparing inbound versus outbound, that's about understanding which of your lead generation channels are working best. You're looking at conversion rates, how many leads from each channel are turning into customers, and you're looking at the revenue generated from each channel.
So you can allocate your resources effectively.
Exactly.
Now, the last thing the article touched on was technology. What are some of the key tools that SaaS sales teams are using?
The article emphasized the importance of sales technology. Using tools to make your sales process more efficient, more effective. Sales automation software, that can really help streamline things, automate those repetitive tasks, make prospecting easier. But the two most important categories of tools they highlighted were CRM systems, that's customer relationship management, and sales intelligence tools.
CRM, that's like the central nervous system of a sales team, right?
Yeah, it's where you manage all your customer interactions, your sales data. Some popular CRMs are Salesforce, HubSpot Pipedrive, and then sales intelligence tools. Those help you identify and connect with the right prospects at the right time. They give you valuable data and insights.
So those are the tools of the trade. Now, the article ended with a call to action, specifically mentioning Cognizant's Sales Companion. What was the main point there?
Yeah, they gave a quick shout out to Cognizant's Sales Companion as an example of a tool that could really help SaaS sales teams. It helps you build your pipeline, improve your prospecting, and ultimately connect with those ideal customers when they're most likely to buy.
So a tool worth checking out.
Definitely.
All right, we've covered a ton of ground today in our deep dive into SaaS sales. Thanks to that awesome article, we've learned what SaaS is, what makes selling it unique, the 5-step sales process, the factors that affect the sales cycle, the different sales models you can use, how to build a killer sales team, and the essential metrics you need to track.
It's a lot to take in, but it's all crucial information if you're in the SaaS world.
Absolutely. So here's a final thought for you to ponder. With everything moving online, with all the data we have available now, how do you think the human element of sales, building those strong relationships with customers, how is that going to evolve in the future of SaaS sales? It's something to think about as this industry keeps growing and changing.
A lot to consider for sure.
Thanks for joining us for another deep dive. We'll catch you next time.
See you then.